Thank you so much for having us at the Manzanar Pilgrimage today. We are Kyoto Taiko at UCLA, and we are the first collegiate taiko drumming team in the nation. It is our honor and our privilege to play at the Manzanar Pilgrimage today. We were founded in 1990 with the goal of spreading the joy and resilience of Japanese American taiko throughout Southern California and beyond, and we are just beyond excited to play for you all today.
What you just saw was our signature piece, Yonsei, meaning fourth generation, representing four generations of Japanese Americans. Up next is Hachidori, which translates to hummingbird, which can be seen in the movement of the players from drum to drum.
Our name, Kyoto, both means family and loud children, and hopefully from our performances you can see why. Once again, thank you so much for having us here at the Manzanar Pilgrimage, and we're super happy to perform for you all. Please enjoy the rest of our performance. Thank you.
Hello, thank you so much once again for having us today. Our team has always held deep roots in cultural resilience and resistance, so it's our honor to play for you all today. I am especially honored to be just a small part of this wonderful community. It has been many years since the incarceration, and I still think our community faces many of the consequences of the confinement that we were forced into, but I also admire the strength and the persistence of this community to this day, so it's our privilege to be just a small part of that.
Our next song is unfortunately our last for this session. It is Matsuri, a series of traditional festival rhythms arranged for ensemble taiko. Many taiko groups have their own version of Matsuri, and this is ours.
Thank you so much once again for having us here. We're extremely grateful to be able to perform for the pilgrimage this year again. We hope you enjoy the rest of our performance, and we're excited to experience the rest of the program with everyone here. Thank you.
祭り太鼓 to be sitting next to VIPs. No. Here's Manzanar Super. There's that shirt. Here's that shirt. Jen? I got not the heavy one. That's the former. That's the one.
Welcome back to Manzanar 57th. I'm so honored to be part of this beautiful dedication occasion and annual gathering. So if you're first time, this is a Manzanar pilgrimage, and if you're coming back all the time, I'm so good to see you. And my name is Ken Koshio. I'm going to perform a little bit for the opening, but always a lot of great people here and spirits right here. So I'm a songwriter myself, but today one of my most favorite song I want to sing before the opening. So. I see trees of green, red roses too. If you know, you can sing with me. I see them bloom for me and you. When I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, reds and white, bright blush today, a dark sacred night. When I think to myself, what a wonderful world, yeah. Color of the rainbow, pretty in the sky, also on the faces, people going by. I see friends shaking hands. Let's say, what's up? And they're really saying, I love you. I hear babies crying, and then watch them grow, learn much more I'll ever know. When I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Color of the rainbow, pretty in the sky, also on the faces, people going by. I see friends hanging together and say, how do you do? When I say, deeply we're saying, I love you. I hear babies crying, I watch them grow. I'll learn much more I'll ever know. Then think to myself, what a wonderful world. Think to myself, what a wonderful world. Ooh, yeah. Thank you very much. Last song. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring my new apprentice from Kyoto Taiko. Used to be a UCLA taiko drummer. Now he wanted to come to Phoenix to play with me. Give him big hands, Kyle Fusaka. All right. Sorry, guys. All right, let's rock and roll. So this is opening. Let's have a great time. Yay! Thank you very much. Welcome to 57th Annual Manzanar Program. My name is Ken Koshio and Kyle Kusaka. Thank you much. We're really honored to be part of this.
No. Oh, okay, I want to get, I'm not gonna, let me see. I want to get one of the minute, but I was just not gonna do it. Okay. Anywhere you want.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Manzanar Committee, welcome to the 57th Annual Manzanar Pilgrimage. Let's give it up for UCLA Kyoto Taiko, Ken Koshio, and Kawa Fujisaka. It's always wonderful to have them all here and perform. How are we doing today? Yeah? Weather's not too bad today, so let's get started. My name is Maya Kuidosumi, and I am very excited to be one of your MCs for today.
My name is Tony Osumi, and I'm your other MC today. Okay, sorry. You get what you get. I want to invite the banner procession to come on up. Thank you, Banner. Before we start the program, I'd like to acknowledge that this land is the traditional and ancestral homeland of the Paiute, Payahunadu, Shoshone tribes. Let us offer a moment of thanks to those whose land we stand on today and share a rich history here at Manzanar. I'm a third grade teacher for LA Unified, and I've had the opportunity to bring middle schoolers, high schoolers, and teachers to Manzanar. I'm also a member of the Little Tokyo-based organization Nikkei Progressives. There goes my NP people. All right. My paternal grandparents were incarcerated at Poston in Arizona. I came to my first Manzanar pilgrimage in 1972 as a 5-year-old. My mother heard about it while she was a student at UCLA. I don't remember much except the long drive in a 68 VW Bug. But knowing what happened here forever framed my political perspectives. 35 years later, my wife Jenny and I brought our 1-year-old daughter here. for her first pilgrimage. This one here. Time flies. Maya, promise you won't put any rocks in your mouth again. All right. Coming here was a rite of passage. Some families commemorate baptisms, communions, and maybe the first day of kindergarten. We chose the Manzanar pilgrimage. So it's a thrill to be emceeing and sharing those duties with Maya today and not have to carry a diaper bag.
Yes, it's very cool to be here with you all and to be emceeing with the Tony Osumi. Being here in Manzanar is very, very special to us. Along with my grandparents at Poston, my maternal grandparents were incarcerated at Heart Mountain and Gila River. And like my dad mentioned, a lot of my core memories were made here at the pilgrimage. I remember playing in the sand. Maybe I ate some. Can't really remember. And just catching up with family, friends, and just being here in this space. Nowadays, I'm a third-year student at UC San Diego. Shout out NSU. In the past couple of years, I've been able to forge new memories here with NSU and through the Katati program, meeting some amazing friends and peers in the process. So, thank you.
Please raise your hand if this is your first pilgrimage. Wow. Beautiful. Thank you for coming and welcome. How many people have been here about 10 times? Anybody 20? Well, if you had, how about 40? And I'm going to go for it. 50. There's a couple. Okay. One day you'll all be raising your hands for 50. All right. The Manzanar Committee wants to acknowledge all of you that came and took the time and energy today to come, and we'd like to recognize the following. Japanese Consul General Murota of Southern California. National Parks Conservation Association. We have a booth here. Marinol Sisters. Gardena Valley Japanese Cultural Institute. CARE, Council on American Islamic Relations. The Venice Japanese American Memorial Marker. The Japanese American National Museum bus and the bus from Gardena. We'd also like to take a moment to honor those who survived behind barbed wires, our seniors. Two in particular that we know are here, there sure must be others, but one is Mei Kakahashi. And she's very active with the Venice Japanese American Memorial Marker. She's also the sister of Mary Nomura, the songbird of Manzanar. Also, we have an athlete in the house, Jim Morita, who was a famous pitcher here at Manzanar. If you're able, we'd like all seniors, not seniors, all folks who were in camp, any of the camps, to please stand. And we'd like to thank you for surviving and also continuing to deepen our understanding of the experiences of World War II incarceration.
Good to see you all here. We also want to shout out some of our youth that are here today. Shout out to all the Nikkei student unions and student organizations that are here. If you're here, make some noise. UCSD, of course. UCLA is here. Pomona. Yeah. Long Beach. Fullerton. Riverside. Berkeley. Stanford. UCSB. LMU, I think there's maybe one person from LMU here. Jaya is also here, Japanese American Youth Association. And any other schools I missed? Chapman! Shout out Chapman! I know it's midterm season for a lot of us, me included, so thank you for taking the time to be here on this important weekend. I also want to personally shout out a couple of people. My grandmas are watching on the live stream, I believe, right now. My grandma, Franz Snavely, is watching from home. She's also watching the dogs, I believe, so thank you, Grandma Granny Franny. And my grandma Machi, who's incarcerated at Heart Mountain and Crystal City, is also watching. She was 3 years old when she was incarcerated.
Let me say hi to. Ooh. All right. Let me give a shout out to my third graders at Gil Garcetti Learning Academy, Room 9. Thank you. All right. This year's pilgrimage theme is Lessons from Manzanar. Vigilance is the price of democracy. Let me repeat it because it's really a call to action. Lessons from Manzanar. Vigilance is the price of democracy. In pursuit of democracy, remembrance, and justice, this year's pilgrimage, or this year's program, is dedicated to the legacies of Kathy Jefferson Bancroft and Art Hansen, who each made tremendous contributions in shaping our understanding of Manzanar.
We dedicate this program to Kathy Jefferson Bancroft. Kathy was a devoted educator and activist, and she welcomed the pilgrimage for many years and was an influential part of the Katati program. I got the chance to talk with Kathy a few years ago through Katati, and one of the things that really stuck out to me that she taught us was how, coming to Manzanar over the years, I always imagined this place, as a desert, very dry. We feel that in the wind, in the sand. But she explained to us how this land used to be very lush green, rivers flowing through it, and it was the LADWP aqueducts that diverted that water and made it what it is today. So her respect and knowledge of Payahinadu was truly immeasurable.
Thank you. Art Hansen was a professor at California State University, Fullerton, and founder of the Japanese American Oral History Project and the Center for Oral and Public History. He was also the official historian for JANM, the Japanese American National Museum. Art was a leading historian in Japanese American history. His scholarship on World War II incarceration was instrumental in changing the once dominant narrative of the quiet Americans who willingly went to camp, kept their head down, and later became model minorities. Instead, his work captured Japanese American stories of resistance, political stances rooted in principle, and individual and collective actions driven by democracy and speaking truth to power. Forever, it changed how Japanese Americans saw themselves and what they were capable of. Where did this field-inspiring community-based research come from? Art came to an early Manzanar pilgrimage. So all of you who raised your hand earlier, take note. It changed the direction of his life. Using oral history to collect Japanese American voices, he dedicated over 50 years highlighting our progressive heroes. Art's impact on the Manzanar pilgrimage was also equally important. According to Bruce Embry of the Manzanar Committee, Art's friendship, support, and scholarship was indispensable to the committee's work for decades. He was inseparable from Manzanar. Much of what you will see, experience, and hear this weekend was touched by Art.
In addition to Kathy and Art, this year's pilgrimage is also in memoriam of Frank Truman, Jean Wakatsuki Houston, Robert Nakamura, and Mary Nomura, all key figures in the history and remembrance of Manzanar.
To welcome us here today, we would like to bring up Jeremiah Joseph from the Cultural Resources Protection of the Paiute Shoshone Tribe. Welcome.
Manahu. Welcome, everybody. I'm excited to share this time and space with y'all today. I'll try not to go off script too much, but sometimes I just need to tell myself to take a breath and slow down a little bit. It is a big honor to again be up on this stage as we begin this annual pilgrimage. For 57 years now, people from all over gather here to heal and remember those affected by the past injustices that had taken place at this site. And learning from the Indian boarding school era, healing can sometimes take generations. I've grown and ripened surrounded by these view sheds as far back as I can remember. Anywhere else, if I don't have these 14,000-foot mountain peaks around to help directions and navigation, I'll get lost in minutes. Beyond the views, it's my connection, the history, and story of this valley that holds me tight. There is so much here to learn. In some areas, even though I've seen them over and over again, it can seem like I'm looking at it for the first time. I will always feel like a student here. One lesson that will always walk with me in action is one that comes from Kathy Jefferson Bancroft. She would always say, take care of the land because it takes care of you. Working under her guidance and advocacy for these lands, myself and others continue to work to protect cultural resources and heal our homelands. One area in particular being Patsiata, also known as Owens Lake. Some aim to label it as Owens Dry Lake, but it was never meant to be dry. All that is needed to prove that is a simple gesture to the magnificent watershed that accompanies us. In our efforts out on Patsiata, the Keeler Dunes Dust Mitigation Project, for over 5 years working in collaboration with Great Basin Unified Air Pollution Control District, we have shown how a tribal-led crew can be successful. To a point we have been able to carry our smudge, prayers, and values to other areas of the lake. I like to think we are reclaiming the lake one section at a time. While simultaneously achieving better air quality, we've reestablished a relationship with nature and bringing opportunities for emotional and spiritual healing. In a time where we find ourselves so connected through technology, we're left disconnected physically. So the idea of taking care of the land because it takes care of you couldn't be more important right now. Among the current state of our nation and democracy, capture and incarceration continues to happen in one way or another, within the fact our local waters have yet to be released or in the hands and objectives of ICE agents. After all the progress in the past, it can seem like a baffling reality in today's day and age. But knowing the indigenous were collected and marched out of here in 1863, and 80 years later those of Japanese descent were collected beyond their will and placed in camps in the 1940s, and yet today how we gather here together gives me hope no matter what the future holds. But our work is definitely cut out for us. Complacency truly is the opposite of vigilance. A couple years back, I had mentioned Conglomerate Mesa about the potential gold mine going on out there, and that seems to be going forward with the test pits, which could be eventually an open pit gold mine. So our work is definitely cut out for us. Another thing that gives me hope is baseball. I'm excited to hear we are recognizing Jim Morita, a pitcher who played in these Manzanar fields. One more thing. Momoyo Nakamoto Kelly, when she was 19, she survived the Nagasaki bombing, and just last week she met the one and only Shohei Ohtani. She described it as a dream come true. I've been a lifelong fan of the Dodgers. It would definitely be a dream come true to have Shohei, Yoshinobu, and Roki out here, and this new refurbished ball field here in Manzanar. It's good to see y'all. Shout out to the volunteers that helped make this happen.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah. Thank you for your words and your words on Kathy, and it would be cool to get Otani out here. Next up, we would like to welcome Jeremy Shire, Superintendent of the Manzanar National Historic Site.
Hello and welcome to Manzanar National Historic Site. It is my honor to serve as superintendent alongside the dedicated staff, volunteers, partners, and community members who care for and share the stories preserved here. 34 years ago, Congress passed legislation setting aside this land so that the history of Japanese American incarceration during World War II will be preserved and shared with future generations. That moment was the result of years of advocacy and efforts to grow public awareness. The Manzanar Committee was key in these efforts. 57 years ago, they began that work by organizing the first pilgrimage, bringing people here to remember, to honor those who were incarcerated, and to insist that this history be recognized and protected. We are grateful to the committee for their decades of work to protect this site and to carry forward its meaning. Their efforts have brought generations of people here, former incarcerees and their families, students and educators, and community members, both new and old, each of them contributing to a living legacy of remembrance and learning. Because of them, this is not just a historic site, but a place of continued connection where the lessons of the past remain present and not forgotten. So thank you all for being here today, adding to the legacy of those who came before, and for taking a piece of the story stewarded here to share with future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Manzanar received around 93,000 visitors this past year, I believe. So, protecting historic and cultural sites like Manzanar are very important at this time. Next up, I'd like to welcome Bruce Embry, chair of the Manzanar Committee since 2007. His family and mother, Sue Kunitomi Embry, were central to the founding and growth of the Manzanar Pilgrimage as we know it today. So please give a hand to Bruce Embry.
Wow. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Manzanar. Thank you for being vigilant. Being here is part of the struggle to remain vigilant so that we can retain our democracy. We've come here for 57 years. First, mainly to honor our families and pay our respects to all those who never returned home. For 57 years, we have said our history is a cautionary tale, a warning of what can happen when extremist politicians whip up racism and fear for their own political and economic gain. But sadly, it appears some in our country have failed to learn the lessons of Manzanar. We return again to say there are lessons that this country needs to heed. Extremist politicians are once again racially profiling and dehumanizing communities of color, just as they did to our families in 1942. Children are being imprisoned, families are being torn apart, and innocent people, citizen and immigrants alike, are being murdered by ICE. Overseas in Palestine and in the Middle East, American-made bombs and missiles are killing thousands of innocent people. All in the name of national security and defending the American way of life. In 1942, our families were called a threat to America's national security. They were called a threat to the American way of life. We know today that that was a lie. But that lie led to the illegal, unconstitutional incarceration of our families in concentration camps. The lesson here is we cannot stand by and allow this administration to spread lies once again so that they can persecute immigrants, Muslims, the LGBTQ community, or any other community in this country. The founders of our committee, including my mother, Sue Kunitomi Embry, knew Manzanar could be transformed from a site of oppression into a beacon for democracy. In her testimony before the United States Senate, she said, Manzanar need not be a negation of American democracy. Instead, she testified that Manzanar could indeed become a symbol for democracy and healing. Today, Manzanar holds evidence that ordinary people have come together to shape history. Manzanar proves that ordinary people can win victories despite great odds, and therefore we can do so again. That, like Jeremiah said, gives me hope. Knowing our past gives me hope. Every exhibit here is a memorial to those who were forced to live behind barbed wire. It is a monument to a community who fought for their rights and triumphed, winning both redress and reparations. It is a reminder of what happened here was wrong and should never be repeated to anyone, anywhere. The lessons of Manzanar and the incarceration of 125,000 peoples of Japanese ancestry are also captured in our national parks. Amachi, Minidoka, Tule Lake, many other national parks such as the Sand Creek Massacre National Historic Site, the Harriet Tubman National Historic Park, and the Stonewall Inn all hold invaluable historical lessons that should never be forgotten and never be erased. The efforts by this administration to rewrite curricula, defund cultural institutions like the Japanese American National Museum, and to attack spaces like Manzanar and other national parks is a key part of a white nationalist agenda. This is not incidental. Those that seek to control the future first must seize control of the past. That is why Manzanar and our collective memory are a threat to those attacking our democracy. Our parks disrupt their narrative because our sites preserve and celebrate our communities, our resistance, and our heroes. Manzanar and our national parks are archives of resistance and survival. Our goal is not to preserve history for its own sake. We remember because knowing our history empowers us to stand with others to defend the rights of everyone. Our story, our history, holds the evidence, again, that when we come together and see our common bonds, we can defeat hate, achieve justice, and we understand that indeed a better future is possible. We believe today is an inflection point in our fight for democracy. We believe we must push beyond simply restoring what was. Remnants from our past, like the Alien Enemies Act and other undemocratic laws that have been used to persecute and incarcerate innocent immigrants in this country, that were used to incarcerate our families, must be repealed. We cannot choose to ignore them simply because fundamental principles of justice and democracy are at stake. And this is why we in the Manzanar Committee reaffirm our support for the struggles of all indigenous peoples for land and treaty rights. We continue to endorse reparations for the Black community to begin to remove the scars of chattel slavery. We call for reforming our immigration laws, and we call for the abolition of ICE. We stand for peace and justice for all people at home and abroad. This is the legacy of Manzanar. It's a powerful legacy, and it's one that we have inherited, and one that we must protect so future generations can learn from the past in order to build a more democratic, just, and peaceful future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce. If you'd like to hear more from Bruce, you can read his piece in the program about the recent Burn Order podcast by Rachel Maddow. Next, I'd like to introduce the keynote speaker for the 2026 Manzanar Pilgrimage, Dale Minami. Right here. Dale is an attorney who has been involved in numerous landmark civil rights cases for Asian Pacific Americans, including, but not limited to, Korematsu v. United States and Nakanishi v. UCLA. He was born in East LA, lived in Gardena, and attended USC. He's a real SoCal boy. Dale was a founder of the community interest law firm, the Asian Law Caucus. He was also involved in the redress movement and was the chair of the chair of the Civil Liberties Public Education Fund, which was used to help educate the public about redress. About the camps. Dale's lived a life of Dale has lived a life of taking his education back to the community and serving the people. Dale's done even more, so please check out his bio in the program. On a personal note, I read that Dale came to his first Manzanar pilgrimage in '72, just like me. So Dale, we're bonded. Yeah, we're Manzanar brothers. For life, for life. All right, come on up.
Damn, Bruce, that was a hell of a keynote. I could just sit down right now. but I appreciated that. I'm really happy to be here and being able to speak to this group of people. It's an amazing feeling to be on this sacred and at some points horrific soil. And the beauty that you see all around you is kind of belies the kind of horrors that happened here in the past. But first I want to thank Bruce and Monica Embry. They not only took care of me, but they drove me up here, which is quite a bit of a task. Warren Furutani, my brother from Gardena, helped start it, the Manzanar Committee, which works tirelessly to put this on. I also want to give a special thanks to Sue Embry, who had a major role in preparing continuing this whole event for 57 years. I first came here, like Tony said, in 1972. And then I came back in 2019. I'm standing right at the point I gave a keynote here. And I was so bad that they gave me a do-over to come back again. So I'm here again to do better. But just like this country has gotten worse since 2019, from 2019. And my hope is, like everyone here, is that we can do better. So why are we here? We all know why we're here, but it bears repeating again. We're here for the memories, to remember what happened, to commemorate those survivors and people who had suffered for years in this place. And we want to tell that story again and again. And it needs repeating because it's so easy to use that big political eraser to wipe us off the whiteboard of history. And we cannot allow that because the lessons are just critical to the future of this country. And it's up to us to keep that story going with fresh ways and by these types of events. A whole ethnic group was taken away in 1942 from their homes. They lived in some as little as 48 hours notice. Somebody from Terminal Island is here. And, we had to deal with that in it was very difficult, a horrible injustice. They were put into feeded horse stalls, then crammed into to trains, taken to some of the godforsaken places in this country. All right, now I have to quit. Actually, but we survived, and we lived through that. These included my parents, my then one-year-old brother, who was considered a national security threat, like Bruce had mentioned. And among the people who were taken away, forced out of their homes, evicted, and put in these prisons. I don't call them camps anymore, they're prisons. And they included, the old, the young, the infirm, orphans, people with 1/16 Japanese blood. They were put in these prisons as dangers to this country. The pretext, again, was national security, which we know now to be a total lie, and it was proven as such in court. 2/3 of these people were American citizens, but they had no constitutional rights. They were taken away from them. The right to a trial, the right to a jury, the right to notice of the charges. And so they had to live they were constitutional orphans. They didn't have those protections which were guaranteed to every American. And something that we should, watch with the Supreme Court decision on birthright citizenship. Essentially, they were hijacked, sentenced to indefinite confinement without a crime or any conviction. We're lucky today because it's not 95 degrees like it was the last time I was here. The wind is behaving itself. We're not freezing. And I'm thinking that, the ancestors, the people here, the ancestors were not so lucky. They had to endure terrible, terrible conditions just to survive. I remember even thinking that day in 2019, I'm going, wow, this is really difficult. I don't know if I could tolerate this. Then it dawned on me that folks had to tolerate this for 2 to 3 years, and it was even worse. So those wretched conditions they lived under, bad food, poor medical care, damaging, devastating, the crushing of your own dignity, humiliation, perhaps more serious psychological and emotional damage that has gone down through generations and carried on. Y'all know this, but you need to continue to repeat these stories because you've got to avoid that political eraser. And just now, we know that, we know now what we didn't know then, that the basis for national security were lies. And we proved that in court, in the Korematsu, Hirabayashi, and Yasui cases. The idea of Japanese American being disloyal was refuted specifically by government reports, which they admitted were lies. The idea of espionage and sabotage were absolute lies that were proffered in the Supreme Court. We know that because the government's own agencies said they were lies and admitted they were lies. And so the motivation was almost purely racist and economic. And that enduring racism, beginning since 1619, became a legacy for people of color, all of whom have suffered discrimination and bias throughout the years. That culmination in the mass exclusion of Japanese Americans, for us anyways, was that inflection point in American history when we realized that we inherited what was essentially a corrupt racist system. And we're also here to remember history before the incarceration. Remember the arduous immigration of our ancestors coming over here to a strange land, facing walls of discrimination, trying to break through hard work, law-abiding people who were threatened with different kinds of discriminatory laws, exclusion, detention eventually, and they were just trying to build a country, which they did with diversity, hard work, through innovative farming techniques, and it was pretty remarkable that their lives parallel the lives of some of the immigrants now today. They're facing the same things that we had faced through our ancestors. But Manzanar is a touchstone for all of us. It's not just a symbol of the fragility of our democracy, of civil rights. It's also a symbol of the horrible treatment one minority group suffered at the hands of an arbitrary government. But it's also a symbol of hope, and it's a hope of resolution, of resolve, of survival, of gambate, of endurance, so that history should never be erased or repeated. We challenged Manzanar's presence the presence of Manzanar's issue still exists today. And we are repeating that history, and we could hear the echoes of that history just loudly almost every day. As Japanese Americans, we hear those echoes, including the treatment of immigrant people in other marginalized groups as well. The arrests without warrants or notice, imprisonment in despicable conditions without any due process, mass incarcerations, deportations, and threats of losing your permanent immigrant status, and even your citizenship. The same threats that were made to Japanese Americans are being made today or been heard today. We shed tears over the separation of families, like Bruce said, children torn from the arms of their mothers. We deplore the weaponization of these institutions. Here, it's ICE, acting as a private army to the President of the United States. It's almost a practice run for the future of this country. It's just like the Census Bureau in 1942, which collaborated illegally to identify where Japanese were and where they lived. And so that militarization and actually manipulation of government agencies is turning itself on its head. Agencies that were supposed to protect us are now being used to oppress us. And we feel outraged when the government kills its own citizens. Remember those names, Renee Nicole Good, and Alex Pretty, gunned down in Minnesota. But remember, too, the names of James Ito and Jim Kakagawa, shot here in Manzanar in the back. That was, years and years ago, and yet the parallels still remain. Beyond our experience, I fear even greater menace to this country and to people of color. I believe there's a more sinister plan, and people think I'm a conspiratorialist. I probably am, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. So this evil plan is pushed not by, the person in charge necessarily. They have brains behind them because, General Dimwit was not the smartest guy in the world. So he had Carl Bendetson, the current lieutenant colonel, who devised this entire he was the architect of the entire plan of curfew, exclusion, and detention. And he was unmasked in a beautiful way, in a sense, by Rachel Maddow and Mike Yarvitz in the burn order that was, if you get a chance to listen to that series, it's really well done. And it's on a national stage, so could be accessed by so many people, and so much education could go on. Today we have Stephen Miller. Despite, I mentioned, oh good, we know who he is. He's the Carl Bendetson of this nation now. Even though we have a president who claims to have an IQ of about 380, twice as much as Albert Einstein. So we see those parallels. But central to this mission to take over this country, in a sense, in my view, is the rejection of the rule of law. And we see that over and over, where the president doesn't even respond to court orders. We see him being unshackled by any sense of decency, by any law, by morality, by religion, by anything. And all three branches have contributed to that terrible, terrible situation. Because in 1942 and 43, the Supreme Court and Congress and the president collaborated and all agreed that the incarceration of Japanese Americans was, quote, legal and doable. And same thing is happening today. We have a Congress that is ruined, but also ruled by folks who are too afraid to stand up to tyranny. We have a Supreme Court that is handpicked by the president, who is also too afraid or too conservative to stand up for the rights of people. And so all these three branches conspired, in a sense, to achieve what turns out to be a civil rights disaster, and it's happening right now. And I thought about he who shall not be named in this context, and I thought about his past. This is a guy who broke, by my count, 9 out of the 10 commandments, 7 out of the 10 Bill of Rights. The Constitutional Bill of Rights is first 10 amendments to the United States Constitution. He's filed for bankruptcy 6 times. He's impeached twice and convicted of 34 counts of felonies. I mean, if this is our president, I mean, I don't know how you hire anybody worse than that, or elect anybody worse than that. The other day, he even attacked the Pope. That seems like a no-no to me politically. He called him soft on crime. Well, he would be soft on those 34 felony counts he was convicted of. But the game plan does affect you and me and all ethnic minorities. It affects all people, not just people of color who are essentially being racially profiled. It affects us because we're turning this country, and it's transparent, to a white Christian nation. And not to denigrate Christianity at all, but when it becomes a white nationalist Christian nation, there's no room for people of color. We could even see that in the policies that are being presented. You know, the people who are being arrested are almost all and deported are almost all people of color, and the policies of race manipulating the elections affects mostly people of color. The attacks on diversity, and I think one thing that pointed out to me that really clearly is, you know, we're deporting all these people, but we're allowing some white people to come in, but they happen to be from South Africa, and they're all white. They're jumping the line to get into this country. So the plan is, to me, is very clear that we're trying to do a ethnic cleansing, a racial cleansing, and that should concern us all. I could talk quite a long time about this, and I already have, but you know, I feel like Chicken Little. You know, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. But it's not the sky, it's democracy that's falling. And if we don't do something about it, you know, we're going to suffer a catastrophe, maybe not from the sky, but from the ground up. So what can we do? We cannot be bystanders to history. We've been there, done that. We know this. And our families were part of that history. So just for us, we need to be able to see those bookends of history, recent history for Japanese Americans and their lessons. One was the incarceration of Japanese Americans, which I've talked about already. It was just a terrible, terrible time. The exile and imprisonment, a civil rights disaster. At that time, no national organization stood up to support Japanese Americans, and we experienced a civil rights disaster. Then the other bookend was redress, 1988, the inspired journey that enlisted people of all colors to claim redress, reparations, an educational fund. And that inspired journey, again, included a rainbow of a lot of Americans who helped Japanese Americans. And the lesson was clear. We had allies in 1988. We had no allies in 1942. So that notion of allyship became really important to me, and I've seen it over and over in the past. I mean, the Filipino farm workers who forced the strike that united the Mexican Americans to that legendary grape strike. We've seen it after September 12th, when Japanese Americans stood up for Muslim Americans to stop the hatred and the spread of that type of hysteria. And we have somebody from Carrier, which is one of the groups that we all work with, and we're proud to work with. The allyship with others, you know, makes us all stronger. As united, we become much more powerful. And that applies to other issues like reparations for African Americans. My partner, Don Tamaki, is part of the commission and has been enlisting Japanese American groups to support African American redress and reparation. And that's only fitting because in 1986-87, when redress was being considered, we had two powerful allies in Congress who were African American. We had Ron Dellums, a congressman from Berkeley. We had Mervyn Dimely, congressman from Los Angeles. They stood up and shouted that we need redress for Japanese Americans, even though they weren't Japanese Americans. But that kind of allyship creates the kind of communality that we need to be able to resist the type of policies that are being created today. That allyship is so important to us because once we look for the communalities, we find those communalities, we find our stories and our experiences are more common than our differences. We become way more powerful and stronger. So we emerged from the darkness of redress into the sunlight of political redemption. We came back with a voice, and we were able to then speak out with some moral authority. And we received a legacy, but the legacy is not the $20,000 an apology or a civil liberties fund. The legacy is a duty, an obligation to stand up for other people, is to make sure that these types of civil rights disasters do not happen again. And it's a legacy of strengthening our democracy because we know that our Constitution is not self-executing. Civil rights are not gifts, they're challenges. And so we need to vote, fight for our Constitution, stop election interference, donate money to good candidates, demonstrate, just show our support in so many ways that the leaders of this country just can't ignore us, ignore what we know from our history. And we could speak with that moral authority. We could shout at that moral authority, that we could stand up, we could protest, we could do something to stop this goose step toward tyranny. That is what our legacy is. And what I say for that legacy is to never again, we will never allow this again. Never again. So thank you.
Let's give one more hand for Dale Minami. Thank you so much, Dale, for your continued work over the years and drawing the very important and unfortunate parallels today. We also want to recognize someone that is here today, Janice Mizuhara, the niece of James Ito that you mentioned. If you're here. Thank you. Next up, we are delighted to bring back UCLA Kyoto Taiko. Currently, they are led by directors Natalie Kong Tokita, Nico Franz, and Nelly Nguyen. They spoke earlier today. So please give it up for Kyoto Taiko.
Cindy, I can see my granddaughter doing that.
Thank you, Kyoto Taiko. I'd like to make a correction. Earlier in the program, I mentioned the Venice Japanese American Memorial Marker. I was incorrect. It is the Venice Japanese American Memorial Monument. It's over at the corner of Venice and Lincoln, and it's a black, I don't know how to pronounce this, obliques, or whatever. Obelisk, thank you. I teach third grade. It's very scary, very scary. It looks very much like this, but it's black granite, and I've had the opportunity to be there. So please check it out, and please check out the booth and donate. They have a wonderful fundraiser at a sushi restaurant down in Venice. So show some respect, because you got to make some redress for what I did. So, yeah. All right. So we now want to bring up someone that has worked with the Japanese American community to protect civil rights and civil liberties. From CARE Los Angeles, the Council on American Islamic Relations, we have Executive Director Hussam Alouche. Hussam is a lifelong human rights and democracy activist for causes here and abroad. His work includes engaging with elected officials, law enforcement, media, and the public to enhance the understanding of Islam, encourage dialogue, empower American Muslims, and build coalitions that promote justice. Please welcome a longtime friend of the Manzanar Pilgrimage, Hussam Alouche.
Gonna try to fix. Sorry, Paul. That's okay. What a beautiful view from here. Well, I greet you with Islam's greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. What a great honor it is to be here. Where's Bruce? Bruce, that was an amazing, amazing speech. Unbelievable. Dale, that's the top. I'm really humbled to be here. My name is Hussam Alouche, and I'm the CEO of CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE in California. And I'm extremely humbled to be here today with you, as gathered on a sacred ground to honor the memory of 120,000 Japanese Americans who were wrongfully targeted and persecuted by their own government, our own democratic government. We come here to remember those who were uprooted from their homes, stripped of dignity and liberty, and imprisoned behind barbed wire, not because of anything they've committed, but because of who they were. And we come here not only to remember injustice, but to resist its return. For more than 20 years, I've had the honor of repeatedly making this pilgrimage to Manzanar. I brought my 5 children and 2 of my grandchildren to the pilgrimage because I believe bringing them here is part of teaching them what real American history is. It is teaching them about civil rights, about the cost and price of silence, the value of civic courage, and the sacred duty to stand up against fascism, racism, and tyranny. Through the organization that I work for and I represent, CARE, we've had the honor of partnering with the Manzanar Committee, my sister Monica, with Bruce, and many others, with Japanese American Citizens League, with Nikkei for Civil Rights and Redress, and Kizuna, to bring hundreds of Muslims, students, activists, imam, and community members to this annual pilgrimage. And they've all told me they leave transformed with a renewed commitment to justice and human dignity for everyone. But I will say that this year's 57th anniversary of all years has put us in the most probably critical time. Probably this is one of the most important in my lifetime of the pilgrimage to attend today, because of the critical, urgent, and relevant parallels we're witnessing today. Because Manzanar is not merely a sad memory of the past. Manzanar is a warning of what a government can do when fear overcomes principles, a warning of what a society can become when propaganda overpowers our shared humanity, a warning of how ordinary people can be taught to accept the unacceptable. Here, we're reminded that injustice does not begin with barbed wire. It begins with suspicion. It begins with stereotypes. It begins when people are told that their neighbors are threats. It begins when failed political leaders manufacture and exploit fear. It begins when courts fail, when the media echoes power, and when too many good people remain silent. And that is why Manzanar matters now. Because the forces that built Manzanar did not disappear. They're still around us. They merely changed targets and maybe some of their tools. The language of dehumanization remains chillingly familiar. Yesterday, it was Japanese Americans accused of disloyalty. Today, it's immigrants and refugees portrayed as invaders. It's Muslims labeled as national security threat and subjected to surveillance, discrimination, and bans. It's black and brown communities over-policed and under-protected. It's Palestinians dehumanized as human animals, bombed, starved, and denied their right to liberty and dignity on their own land. It's Iranians and Lebanese children used as war targets for our weapons and by our weapons in order to advance illegal and immoral wars on behalf of a fascist foreign government. We've seen it before. Yes, thank you. We've seen it before, and that's why remembrance without vigilance, read the sign, and resistance without vigilance and resistance is incomplete. The Japanese American community gave this nation one of its greatest moral lessons, that patriotism is not silent obedience to government. Patriotism is demanding that your country live up to its own ideals. The heroes we honor today, were not only those who endured incarceration with dignity in this camp and the other 12 other camps. The heroes we also honor are the ones who resisted, those who challenged injustice in the courts, those who said no to loyalty tests designed to humiliate them, those who organized for redress, those who transformed trauma into movements for justice. And kudos to the Japanese American community. You've been the leaders in this country, standing up for social justice for all of us. We owe you so much. And because they did, they left us a roadmap for solidarity, a roadmap for resistance, a roadmap for moral courage. Indeed, that's why Muslim Americans have felt so deeply connected to this pilgrimage. Because we know that when one community is targeted, none is secure. Our safety is bound together, as other speakers said earlier. Our liberation is bound together. From Manzanar, we say the last sentence said by Dale. We say never again. And never again means never again for anyone, not just for some. We say never again, not only when it's politically convenient. It means we must challenge mass surveillance, challenge political repression, challenge racism wrapped in the language of national security, challenge war crimes and genocide. Yes, I said it. Challenge war crimes and genocide, especially when our own government enables it. Challenge ICE brutality and abuses. Challenge the normalization of tyranny. And above all, we must organize. Because history does not only ask what governments did. You know what history asks? What did people do in response? What did we do when rights were stripped away? What did we do when lies justified cruelty? What did we do when entire peoples were marked disposable? Did we remain silent or did we stand up? The answer to those questions is not written by speeches, it's written by movements. And that's why we gather at Manzanar. Not simply to grieve, but to recommit, to say that the memory of those imprisoned here will strengthen our struggle today, to say that their suffering was not forgotten, to say their legacy lives in every person who fights injustice, every single one of us, and to say to future generations, we learned, we remembered, and when history called us, we stood on the side of justice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dessam. This truly is a critical time, so the work that yourself and Kara does really is very important at this time. Next up, I'd like to introduce Paul Hiroshi Boye. Paul serves on the board of the Terminal Islanders Association and chairs the committee that secured historic cultural monument status for the last two surviving buildings of the Terminal Island Japanese American Fishing Village, an important LA heritage site dating back to the early 20th century. So please welcome Paul Hiroshi Boye.
Sorry about the wardrobe malfunction there. First of all, I want to thank the Manzanar Committee for asking me to speak today, because it's an honor and privilege to stand with you today at Manzanar. This is where a lot of history happened. And this is not just about a historic site. For many of us, this is part of our family story. And for my family, with the surnames Nakaji, Sumi, Seko, Lepman, and Boye, that story begins with my mother. My mother, Chizuru Nakaji Boye, was born in 1919 in Terminal Island, California, which is also known as Fish Harbor and East San Pedro. She was the eldest of 5 children and grew up in a close-knit Japanese-American fishing community of nearly 3,000 people. There's a bug up here now. Terminal Island was a vibrant, self-contained community of homes, businesses, schools, churches, shrines, parks, and even a bank. Most men were fishermen, and many of the wives and mothers worked in the canneries. The Issei Japanese immigrants brought with them from Japan innovative fishing techniques, which transformed Terminal Island into a multi-million-dollar fishing industry, and also the dominant hub of America's tuna canning production. Children played together and families worked together. Now, my grandfather, he immigrated to the United States from Japan in 1905. He became a fisherman. He was the fleet captain of 2 boats, and eventually he became the president of the Japanese Fishermen's Association in Terminal Island. He often would travel to Sacramento to fight against anti-Japanese fishing legislation aimed at preventing the Japanese fishermen from obtaining fishing licenses and owning boats. He knew something very essential. Rights that are not defended can easily be taken away. Now, my mother's childhood on Terminal Island was a blend of Japanese culture and American customs. You had schools, music, arts, communities, community events, and even sports, even attending the 1932 Summer Olympic Games in Los Angeles. Terminal Island was more than just a place. It was their paradise. It was their home. They referred to it as their furusato, or home sweet home. And then everything changed on December 7th, 1941. After Pearl Harbor, community leaders were immediately arrested without cause. Fishing boats were impounded, and families lost their livelihoods. The following month came, a few weeks later in January 1942, 544 Issei fishermen were arrested, again without cause. Many of them were separated from their families for years. The following month came Executive Order 9066. Now, without the men on Terminal Island, that left the women and children alone to face the FBI ransacking their homes, looking for evidence of espionage, which they never found because it never existed. Soon after, the U.S. Navy took over Terminal Island and gave the residents just 48 hours to leave. 48 hours to pack a life. 48 hours to leave everything behind. 48 hours to desperately find temporary living arrangements. And soon after, the U.S. Navy came in and bulldozed the entire Terminal Island community, demolished, as if the people who lived there never existed. This is what happens when fear overrides justice. When vigilance fades, democracy becomes fragile. My mother and her family arrived at Manzanar in April 1942. Despite the hardship, she chose to serve. She taught fifth grade students and was instrumental in establishing the libraries here at Manzanar. She wrote to Althea Warren, who was the LA City head librarian at the time, requesting her help. Now, Miss Warren knew my mother from a few years previously when she wrote a book report on her and interviewed her. So in response, the LA City Public Library donated 20,000 volumes of books to Manzanar. Thank you. These books brought education, dignity, and hope to those living behind barbed wire. In 1943, my mother was allowed to leave Manzanar under the condition that she not travel to the West Coast. She decided to go to New York, where she earned her master's degree in library science and dedicated her life to education and service. In August 1945, she voluntarily returned to Manzanar to help students apply for colleges on the East Coast. Thank you. My mother taught myself and my four siblings a deep commitment to learning, empathy, social justice, and perseverance. Today, remarkably, 2 buildings remain on Terminal Island from the original Japanese-American fishing village from the early 1900s. They're hidden in the highly industrialized port of Los Angeles. And ironically, just a couple years ago, when I got involved, these buildings were in jeopardy of also being demolished. But since that time, working with a lot of great groups of people, including City Council member Tim McCosker and his team, the Los Angeles Conservancy, the National Trust for Historic Preservation, LA Planning Department's Office of Historic Resources, the Cultural Heritage Commission, many groups, even the Consul General of Japan in Los Angeles, they helped us as well. Through the support of many people, we were able to get these buildings designated as historic cultural monuments. Now, our vision and goal is to develop what we call an adaptive reuse for these buildings. Adaptive reuse as an educational center, as a gallery, and surrounded by a beautiful and serene Japanese garden. This will honor the legacy of the Issei and Nisei Terminal Islanders who lived there in the early 1900s. Because history matters, family matters, and storytelling matters. When we come here today, we are not just learning about history, we are standing where it happened. We feel the wind, as you see. We see the vast landscape, and we remember the people who once lived here. My family story is just one of thousands of stories, but together, they show the consequences of fear, prejudice, and silence. The lesson of Manzanar is not just about the past. It is about the responsibility we share today. My mother came here as a young American citizen who believed in this country. She carried both the pain of injustice and the hope that we could do better. So today, let us honor that hope. Let us remember those who endured. And let us make this promise. We will remember, we will speak out, and we will remain vigilant. Because vigilance is the price of democracy. Thank you.
Thank you again to Paul. It's great to have you here as representative of the Terminal Islander Association. It's my pleasure to now introduce our student speaker for today, Jennifer Yamashita. Jennifer is a student at UCLA and participated in Katari this past winter, the Keeping Japanese American Stories Alive program, an intensive place-based learning experience for college students. She was also the recipient of the Arnold Maeda Manzanar Pilgrimage Grant this past year, so please welcome to the stage, Jennifer Yamashita.
Hello everyone. So like Maya said, my name is Jennifer Yamashita and I am one of the Cultural Awareness and Community Service Chairs at UCLA's Nikkei Student Union. And as she said, I was the Arnold Maeda Manzanar Pilgrimage Grant recipient, and I was last year, and then I was a member of the Katari cohort that helped plan this year's Manzanar at Dusk program taking place later today. Growing up in Venice and West Los Angeles, I was immersed in the Japanese American community since I was born. I danced at Obon before I understood what Obon was. I played in the Japanese American basketball leagues before I understood why we had our own league. And I didn't know it at the time, but those early experiences were introducing me to the community that would shape everything. My values, my sense of belonging, and my understanding of what it means to show up for others. As I got older, volunteering at festivals, pounding mochi at Mochitsuki, none of it ever felt like an obligation. I wasn't helping them, but contributing to us. And honestly, when I left those events with a full stomach and a full heart, and sometimes with a live goldfish that my parents wished I didn't win, it felt like the ladies who spent all day in the kitchen had served me far more than I had served anyone by making shave ice for a few hours. They were passing down something worth protecting, community. But community also taught me something harder. I remember the first time I cleaned graffiti off of the Venice Japanese American Memorial Monument, a marker for more than 1,000 people from my neighborhood who are forced from that very corner to come to Manzanar. I couldn't understand why someone would desecrate something that carries so much history. I had not experienced much racism in my life, and for the first time, I understood what it felt like to be a target. Someone was trying to erase something that belonged to all of us. And I realized that belonging to a community also means defending it. That the warmth and belonging I had been given was not guaranteed. It had to be protected. I believe that the best way to get people to care about their community and culture is to make them fall in love with it first, the same way I did, over a bowl of shave ice or a mochi pounding mallet. It's always been a mission of mine to get as many people as possible involved in the community. I hype up the delicious food, the promise of lasting friendships, and just generally annoy people until they show up. Because once they do, once they feel the warmth of our community, they never really leave. And that's the spirit behind this year's Manzanar at Dusk program, which our Qatari cohort has designed to be as alive and welcoming as possible, especially for anyone showing up for the first time who isn't sure that they belong here. You do. Community is showing up for each other not because we have to, but because we know that the care and effort that we put forth individually will grow exponentially and benefit everyone. It always comes back around. I knew that this community needed protecting, but I never imagined we'd have to fight this hard. But here we are. The same community that fed me, raised me, and made me who I am today is now facing powerful forces that would rather our past be quietly erased. So when we sat down to choose the themes for this year's Manzanar at Dusk program, the answer felt clear: identity and resistance. Because protecting our community itself is in itself an act of service, and surface, whether making shevais or standing up for our history, is how we show up for each other. Now, when I say identity, I mean both our individual right to exist fully and authentically, and our collective identity as a community with a history that must not be forgotten. And we are already seeing these erasures happen. Government websites have been quietly rewarded to strip the racial context from the history of the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, a unit born directly out of the injustice of racial incarceration, whose members fought for a country that imprisoned their families and became the most highly decorated U.S. military unit for its size and length of service. Japanese American-owned businesses in our Japantowns are being bought out and displaced, and the cultural fabric of those neighborhoods slowly unravels with each one we lose. And the erasure is not ours alone. Every minority community in this country is being asked, in one way or another, to forget. These are not accidents, these are patterns, and they demand our attention. We are standing on ground that proves it. The people incarcerated here were told that their presence was a threat. The pattern is not new, and neither is resistance. That is why gathering here matters, and that is why this pilgrimage matters. Our stories are not footnotes, they are the foundation. We cannot allow them to be buried, rewritten, or ignored. So, I'd like to invite everyone here to join us at the Manzanar at Dusk program at 5 p.m. at Lone Pine High School, a safe place to come together, reflect, share stories, and build community. But whatever brings you here today, I hope you'll remember this. The most powerful form of resistance is remembrance, and the most powerful form of remembrance is community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. That was wonderful. Now in its 30th year, Manzanar at Dusk started in 1997 with the help of Jennifer Kuida and Ayako Hagihara. It was expanded by the late Gan Matsuda, who we cannot forget, into a student-led program organized and run by students in college. And as it mentioned, it will be tonight at 5 p.m. in Lone Pine High School gym. Please go and support the next generation of Manzanar storytellers. We're nearing the end of our program, and we'd like to thank the Manzanar Committee for inviting us to MC. We'd also like to thank the Manzanar Committee members and volunteers who are doing all kinds of things, from doing the sound and videotaping and running all the logistics, setting up and doing everything behind the scenes. We'd also like to thank the Manzanar National Historic Site for all their support also.
Thank you so much to the committee again for having us, and to all of you for making the journey here, whether it's your first pilgrimage or your 50th, some of you. I know Bruce probably. Yeah, I mean, we've learned so much today. I know I have. You know, whether you came in here today with your own experiences and knowledge, or you're leaving today with something else, we urge you all to share your stories, what you've learned today, and your own experiences, where you all come from. You know, social media is a big part of that kind of journey for a lot of us. We had a live stream going, and we would like to take a photo, but great job.
Yeah, thank you. Good job, Maya.
Yeah.
From this little thing to...
That's my dad.
Your grandpas would be very proud of you.
Maybe just to kind of commemorate this, you know, we always take a family photo in front of the monument, but maybe we can take a quick selfie here with all of you. Yeah? Does anyone know Be Real? I'm going to take my Be Real. It's just a photo op. Okay, it's gonna take a photo of us, but at the same time, it's gonna take a photo of all of you at the same time. So, are we ready?
What are they gonna say?
I don't know, Jennifer mentioned mochitsuki, so I'm thinking about food, so maybe we say mochi? Mochis. Okay, ready?
Oh, okay. This is an app I don't know. I'm older.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, mochi! Oh no, I blinked.
Mochi! Do it again! Mochi! Mochi!
Oh, that's so pretty. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day and have a good one.
Great. So we've got one final part of the program, so please keep your seats.
It's getting hotter, but this beautiful monument, history of us. Myself, I was born and raised in Japan. My history of some kind of relatives are coming from Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And also, I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and the Gila River is one of the another campsites. And if you know, Iwo Island fight with the U.S. and then Japan, his name is Ira Hay. He's a guy put the American flag. So if you watch that flag of fathers, you see the story. A lot of good news, bad news every day, but I want you to protect yourself with peace and love. And the first mentor, Sue Embury, found me at the Little Tokyo's next to water fountain. She would love this song. And this is a song for her forever. I didn't know, but she passed away 20 years ago already. So I'm gonna sing for her and the whole spirit. If you love this song back in 1961, Billboard #1 hit. It's called Sukiyaki in the United States of America.歩こう涙がこぼれないように思い出す春の日ひとりぼっちの夜 Everybody, if you know this song, please sing loud, okay, in Japanese. 上を向いて歩こう滲んだ星を数えて思い出す夏の日ひとりぼっちの夜幸せは雲の上に幸せは空の上に Everybody, let's sing together! 上を向いて歩こう涙がこぼれないように泣きながら歩くひとりぼっちの夜
So when I got to Little Tokyo very early time back in 1996, also lady asked me, can you join our art event, Tuesday Night Cafe? We're getting old. But still, we trust and believe in our freedom, the spirit of love and peace. Ue wo mu, everybody! Ue wo mu ite aruko. Come on. Oh, you sing the whole thing? Okay, good. 泣きながら歩く一人ぼっちの夜 Okay, simply only 上を向いて歩こう Hey! 声ちっちゃいんじゃないのやる気ないんじゃないのちょっと No, just only 上を向いて歩こう Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4上を向いて歩こう Come on, louder! 上を向いて歩こう Louder! 上を向いて歩こう Last time! 上を向いて歩こう When you say I love you, Sue, and old Spirit right here, everybody. All our sisters, thank you for taking care of us. Ho, ho, ho. Muchas gracias. Thank you, ancestors. Mother Earth, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ken Koshiro and Kyle. So to close out our program, we have our banner procession. 皆さん聞いていただいてどうもありがとうございます。Thank you everyone so much for coming. My name is Monica Mariko Embry, and I'm Sue Kunitomi Embry's granddaughter. So these banners represent the 10 camps and other incarceration sites that our families were held in. Amache, Colorado, 7,318 incarcerees. Crystal City, Texas, over 4,000. Gila River, Arizona, 13,348. Heart Mountain, Wyoming, 10,767. Jerome, Arkansas, 8,497. Manzanar, California, 10,146. Minidoka, Idaho, 9,397. Poston, Arizona, 17,814. Rower, Arkansas, 8,475. Topaz, Utah, 8,130. Tule Lake, California, 18,789. Tuna Canyon, over 2,000. And the 442nd Regional Combat Team, 100th Infantry Battalion, and MIS, over 33,000. We now invite you to join us for an interfaith ceremony and flower offering here at the monument. And I'd like to recognize our interfaith leaders. Reverend Yuki Himeji from Honpa Honganji Buddhist Temple. Reverend Taiso Matsumoto from Koyasan Buddhist Temple. Riban Ken Kawawata from Higashi Honganji Buddhist Temple. Reverend Rei Fukumoto from Jodo Shinshu Honganji Buddhist Temple. Father Doug Walker from Santa Rosa Catholic Church. Reverend Catherine Ann Hunter from Bishop First United Methodist Church. And Brother Hassam, I think, will also join us from CARE. Thank you again so much for coming today. Please join us for the interfaith ceremony. Afterwards, we'll have Ondo dancing, and please check out our booths. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I know it worked because I had people texting saying they were on it.